You wanted to talk to me privately, Charlie?
Yes. It's about Janet. She is your relative because your cousin Rebecca was her mother, but Janet is also my relative because my cousin Ted was her father. You and Carrie already have custody of 2 kids, Richard and Annika, while I and Whitney can have kids naturally because of my being transgender. So we would like to adopt Janet.
You are not deterred by her being completely blind?
Not at all. I can promise you that baby will be loved by us. Do you trust me?
Of course. But a baby is not just a possession that can be handed over. The adoption procedure is one that must be handled very carefully through the legal process. So you and I will both make petitions to a court to adopt Janet, and then the court will rule which of us gets her.
Understood, Debbie. Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Rouge Scumpa Show. Tonight's guest is Fred Owen, the brother of Nicholas Owen, who I interviewed last week. Fred, you say you have uncovered evidence that someone we all know and despise is a backstabbing cheater, stealing someone else's husband for her own pleasure. Who do you mean?
Sandy Smith, the mayor of her town in East Texas. I went to her town to investigate her activities because I, knowing she is atheist, suspected her of corruption. And sure enough, I found what I was looking for. Rouge Scumpa and Fred Owen display the pics Owen took of Sandy and Steve at the motel that night. This is of Sandy Smith just outside the motel room she was renting for the night. And this pic was taken less than 20 minutes later and shows Steve Miller entering the same motel room. And finally this was taken an hour later as the pair was leaving, while hugging each other goodbye. Clearly, they are very much in love. But Steve is married to Denise, who stole Steve from Sandy first. But clearly, Steve is playing the 2 women against each other. Well, no one admires a cheater. And if she is that treacherous in her personal life, how corrupt must be her activities as mayor of her town? An investigation should be conducted into this matter. And she should be encouraged to resign as mayor. Hello.
Father, you are in deep shit with me right now. We just saw that episode of the Rouge Scumpa Show featuring Uncle Fred and those embarrassing pics he took of Mrs. Smith and Mr. Miller. What the hell are you doing?
Isn't it obvious? We are exposing a scandal. You should be ashamed to be associated with such an immoral woman.
You don't know anything about her, Father. So what if she was having a private meeting with her ex-husband? What harm is there in that? Only bigots like you would spin it into something terrible out of political or religious contempt. Because you and Fred have done this, any chance of reconciling with me is gone forever. Fuck you backstabbers.